For literally all of human history, we've been asking this one massive question. What does it mean to be human? Philosophers, artists, poets, they all gave it a shot. But what happens when science, with all its crazy power, decides it's finally time to get a real, definitive answer?
I mean, how would you even begin to do that? It sounds impossible, doesn't it? But for a team of pretty brilliant scientists, this wasn't just some late-night philosophical debate. Nope, it was a mission. And that is where our story really kicks off.
Okay, so this all leads us to this absolutely massive project called the Great Mean. The person in charge was Dr. Eris Thorne. And Thorne had this radical idea that human consciousness, our thoughts, our feelings, it wasn't some unknowable mystical fog. He believed it was a giant data set, just sitting there, waiting for someone to figure out how to read it. You see, up until this point, whenever we tried to define the average person, it was all super superficial, right? We'd look at things like height or income, but Dr. Thorne was like, no, no, no. That's all surface level stuff. He was convinced the real answer, the true human average, was hiding inside our minds. So, the billion-dollar question is, how on earth do you even begin to collect data on something as personal and messy as a thought? Well, it turns out you're going to need some seriously next-level tech. And this is what they came up with, the Aura Sync. The best way to think about it is like a universal translator, but for your brain. It could literally listen in on the electrical storms happening inside your skull, all your hopes, your fears, your brilliant ideas, and convert them into cold, hard digital data. It was this quiet, invisible harvest of humanity's deepest thoughts. And what they got back was, wow. It was an absolute tsunami of data, more than anyone had ever imagined. The sheer amount of raw, unfiltered human experience, of pure consciousness, it was just too much. Any normal computer on the planet would have just fried. So to deal with this, quantum amount of data, they needed a quantum computer. It's kind of like this. A regular computer solves a maze by trying one path, hitting a dead end, backing up, and trying another. A quantum computer can, in a way, explore every single path at the exact same time. It was the only thing powerful enough to even begin to navigate this ocean of human thought. Okay, so after months and months of this supercomputer just crunching away, the first results started to trickle in. The big question was, what did we as a species actually look like on the inside in the year 2062? And the answer was pretty mind-blowing. It turns out there's no such thing as a single average human. It's not one person. It's more like a composite, a blend of thousands of different people. But here's the really wild part. The data showed our minds were already, sort of drifting closer together, being pulled in by this shared global culture. The same movies, the same music, the same online chatter. But for Dr. Thorne, this just didn't feel like the whole story. He described it as a nagging sense of incompleteness. It was like looking at a single frame from a movie. Sure, it tells you what's happening right now, but it doesn't tell you how the characters got there, or more importantly, where they're heading next. So, to see that whole movie, the team realized they had to go back in time. They decided to give their quantum computer an even crazier, more ambitious job, simulate the entire last century of human thought. Now, obviously, they didn't have Aura-Sync data from, say, 1962. So how'd they do it? Well, this is where it gets really ingenious. They fed the computer basically all of recorded human history for the last 100 years. We're talking news articles, books, art, economic reports, even every single social media post they could find. They used all of that as a sort of proxy to reverse engineer what people were thinking and feeling back then. And what the computer spit out was this incredible visual. Imagine looking at a star map. 100 years ago, human minds were like these scattered, distant stars, each in their own little galaxy. But as the simulation rolled forward through time, you could actually see them start to drift towards each other. They formed little clusters, then bigger ones, until they were all being pulled into this one tight central group. And the simulation even flagged the big reasons why. Things like the internet and later social media, they weren't just tools for us to chat. They were acting like these massive gravitational forces, literally shrinking the distance between how we all think. So at this point, they had a clear line, a clear trajectory from our past to our present. There was only one thing left to do. Ask the computer the biggest question of all. Where does this line go from here?
And the answer it gave, well, it was described as both breathtaking and chilling. The team just watched as the computer started plotting our future. What they saw was that this coming together, this convergence, wasn't slowing down. In fact, it wasn't even a straight, steady line. It was an exponential curve. That means it was getting faster and faster and faster, rocketing towards some kind of incredible endpoint. The computer predicted a singularity, a single point in time, not too far from now, where all of our individual minds just merge, fusing together into one single unified consciousness. A future where the line between I and we completely dissolves, where the phrase I think might not even make sense anymore. So think about that. This project, The Great Mean, it started out just trying to take a snapshot of humanity in the present day, but it accidentally became a kind of prophecy machine, showing us the final, ultimate destination for our entire species. So the big takeaway, the thing to really wrap your head around, is this. We're not just connected by the internet anymore. We are on an inevitable path, an ascent from being many to becoming one, from a collection of individuals to a single consciousness. And it seems that journey has already started. And that leaves us with one last really big question for you to think about. If we are all truly becoming one, what happens to the individual? What happens to you?